The great crystal dome of the Galactic Council chamber had never seen such fear. Representatives from 300 peaceful worlds sat in their floating seats, their various forms trembling with worry. Some had tentacles that curled tight with stress. Others had feathers that stood on end. A few had skin that changed color to show their panic. At the center of the dome, High Counselor Vexani spoke with a voice that shook. Her blue skin had turned almost white with fear. Friends, we face the end of everything we know. The Zephyrian Empire has given us 30 solar cycles to surrender all our worlds. The chamber filled with worried sounds. Some species made clicking noises. Others hummed low songs of sadness. The Altarian delegate, a tall being with 4 arms, stood up. High Counselor, surely our defense fleets can protect us. Vexani's large eyes grew dim. Admiral Koltar, please share your report. The military leader floated forward. His thick gray skin looked rough like stone. The Zephyrians destroyed our outer defense line in mere hours. Their ships cut through our strongest shields like they were made of air. Their weapons turn our metal hulls into dust. We lost 40% of our fleet and we barely scratched their ships. A small furry delegate from the Mirren system spoke up. What do they want? Why are they doing this? They want our worlds, Admiral Koltar said. But not for living on. They strip planets bare. They take every useful thing and leave dead rocks behind. They have done this to dozens of systems already. The refugees tell horrible stories. The chamber grew quiet. These beings had built their great society on peace and trade. For thousands of years, they had solved problems with words, not weapons. War was something they had read about in old books, not something they lived. Dr. Zelnara, the head of xenobiology, asked to speak. She was one of the few who still looked calm. Her green scales caught the light as she moved. High Counselor, may I suggest something that might sound crazy? At this point, Dr. Zelnara, we need any idea, no matter how strange. The scientist activated a hologram that showed a map of their galaxy. Red dots marked the Zephyrian advance. Blue areas showed Confederation space. But there were also gray zones marked with warning symbols. These are the dead sectors, Dr. Zelnara explained. For 3,000 years we have avoided them. The worlds there are too dangerous for life. Gravity that would crush our bones. Radiation that would kill us in minutes. Temperatures that would freeze or burn us instantly. Atmospheres full of poison. Yes, we know about those cursed places, said the Altarian delegate. What about them? Our long-range probes detected something interesting. Signals. Organized patterns that suggest intelligence. Not just on one world, but many worlds in the dead sectors. The chamber buzzed with confusion. How could anything live in such terrible places? Dr. Zelnara continued. I think something lives in those dead zones. Something that survived in places that would kill us. If they can live in such hell, maybe they are strong enough to fight the Zephyrians. Admiral Koltar made a sound like rocks grinding together. You want us to ask for help from things that live in places that would kill us by just being there? How do we even talk to such beings? We send a diplomatic mission, Dr. Zelnara said. Our best ship, with the strongest shields and life support we have. We try to make contact. Many delegates started arguing at once. The idea seemed too dangerous, too strange. Some said it was better to surrender than to risk contact with unknown horrors. High Counselor Vexiani raised her hand for silence. Friends, let me ask you something. What do we know about survival? We come from gentle worlds with perfect weather and safe environments. We have never faced real danger. Maybe that is why we cannot fight the Zephyrians. She looked around the chamber. But think about this. If something lives in those dead worlds, it knows how to survive impossible things. It knows how to be strong when everything tries to kill it. Maybe that is exactly what we need. The debate went on for hours. Some delegates walked out, too scared to even think about the plan. Others argued that it was better to try something than to just wait to die. Finally, they voted. It was close, but the plan passed. They would send a mission to the dead sectors. Who will go on this mission? Asked the Altarian delegate. Ambassador Telquin volunteered. She was known for being brave and smart. Her people, the Velnari, were already tougher than most Confederation species. If anyone could survive meeting unknown horrors, it might be her. I will take our fastest diplomatic ship, she said, the one with the best shields and protection. If there are intelligent beings in those dead worlds, we will try to talk to them. Dr. Zelnara showed them the closest dead world on the map. This system has the strongest signals. The third planet from its star shows signs of massive civilization, but the readings are terrible. The gravity is twice what most of us can handle. The atmosphere would burn our lungs. The radiation levels would kill most of our species in hours. And you think something lives there? Admiral Koltar asked. Not just lives there, Dr. Zelnara said. The energy readings suggest billions of beings. Cities that span continents. Industry that rivals our greatest worlds. Whatever lives there, it is not primitive. The meeting ended with mixed feelings. Hope that maybe they had found an answer. Fear about what they might find in those terrible places. Terror about what would happen if this plan failed. As the delegates left the chamber, many of them looked back at the map still floating in the center. The gray zones seemed to glow with mystery and danger. In 30 solar cycles, the Zephyrians would return for their answer. Ambassador Telquin prepared for the most dangerous diplomatic mission in galactic history. She would travel to a world that could kill her just by breathing its air. She would try to talk to beings that might be so alien that communication was impossible. But she had to try. The fate of 300 peaceful worlds now depended on whatever lived in hell. Her ship launched 3 days later. The destination was a yellow star in the dead sector, third planet from the sun. The readings showed it was a nightmare world of violence and danger. But it was also their only hope. As her ship jumped to hyperspace, Ambassador Telquin wondered what kind of beings could live in such a place. Were they monsters, angels, or something completely beyond imagination? Soon she would find out. The future of the galaxy depended on whatever she found in that distant hell. Ambassador Telquin's ship dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the yellow star system. Her crew of 6 specialists stared at their instruments in shock. Every reading showed numbers that should have been impossible. Ambassador, called Chief Science Officer Morton, his voice tight with fear. These readings cannot be right. The third planet shows gravity that would crush most of our bones. The electromagnetic readings suggest constant lightning storms. And the atmosphere, he paused. The atmosphere would dissolve our ship's hull in hours. Telquin looked at the blue and green world on their main screen. It looked beautiful from space, with white clouds swirling over vast oceans. But she knew those pretty clouds hid deadly storms. Those blue oceans were filled with salt that would poison most galactic species. Show me the civilization readings, she ordered. The screen changed to show energy patterns across the planet. Telquin gasped. The entire surface glowed with activity. Massive cities covered the continents. Lights blazed even on the night side. Flying vehicles moved in organized patterns through the atmosphere. There are billions of them, whispered Navigator Pelton. How is this possible? Nothing should be able to live down there. Communications Officer Yixara, are you picking up any signals? Yes, Ambassador. Thousands of different channels. Multiple languages, and... She paused, her 4 eyes widening. They are already talking about us. What do you mean? They detected our arrival. They know we are here. Their military forces are tracking our ship. Telquin felt her stomach twist with worry. Are they hostile? Unknown. But they are curious. I am getting signals that might be attempts to communicate. Can you understand anything? Yixara worked at her station for several minutes. Some of it. They use mathematical concepts we recognize. They are asking who we are and why we are here. Telquin made a decision that would change galactic history. Send a response. Tell them we come in peace. Tell them we need help. The response came back quickly. They want to meet us. But Ambassador, they want us to come down to their planet. The crew looked terrified. Going down to that death world would be suicide for most species. Do they understand we cannot survive on their world? I think so. They are suggesting a meeting in space near their largest orbital station. On the screen, a massive structure appeared. It was bigger than some of their cities, spinning slowly to create artificial gravity. Ships moved around it like insects around a flower. Take us there, Telquin ordered. Slowly. Keep our shields up. As they approached, they saw the orbital station more clearly. It was built like a fortress with thick walls and powerful weapons, but it also had docking bays and what looked like diplomatic areas. Incoming message, Yixara announced. Audio and visual. The main screen flickered, and Telquin found herself looking at something that would give her nightmares for years. The being on the screen looked like a walking nightmare. It had 2 legs and 2 arms like some galactic species, but its skin was the wrong color. Its eyes were small and set in the front of its head like a predator. Its mouth showed white teeth that looked designed for tearing meat. But the most terrifying thing was how calm it looked. This creature from a hell world was completely relaxed, even friendly. Greetings. the being said in perfectly understandable galactic standard. "I am Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force. We welcome you to our system." Tel Quinn struggled to find her voice. I am Ambassador Tel Quinn of the Galactic Confederation. How do you speak our language?" Admiral Chen smiled, showing those terrifying teeth. "We have been listening to galactic communications for over 50 Earth years. We learned your languages. We know about your peaceful federation. We also know about your current problem with the Zephyrian Empire." "You know about the Zephyrians?" "We know about many things that happen in the galaxy. We have been waiting for the right time to introduce ourselves. Your visit suggests that time has come." Tel Quinn felt hope for the first time in days. "Then you might help us?" "Perhaps. First, tell me about your situation. What exactly are the Zephyrians doing?" Tel Quinn explained everything. The surprise attacks, the destroyed fleets, the ultimatum. As she spoke, she noticed Admiral Chen's expression growing darker. "These Zephyrians sound like bullies," the human said. "On Earth, we have dealt with bullies before. Sometimes the only language they understand is strength. But our strength is not enough. Their technology is too advanced." Admiral Chen laughed, a sound that made Tel Quinn's crew step back in fear. "Technology is not everything, Ambassador. Sometimes what matters most is how tough you are, how much you can endure, how hard you are willing to fight." "I do not understand. Let me show you something." The screen changed to show the surface of Earth. Tel Quinn watched in horror as massive storms raged across oceans. Lightning struck constantly. Mountains exploded with fire and molten rock. Frozen wastelands stretched for thousands of kilometers. "This is our world," Admiral Chen explained. "Every day we face things that would kill most galactic species. Our planet tries to kill us with storms, earthquakes, volcanoes, diseases, and predators. But we survived. More than survived. We became strong." Tel Quinn stared at the images. "How do you live in such a place?" "We adapt, we fight. We never give up. And because we learn to survive here, we can survive anywhere. But the Zephyrians have weapons that can destroy our strongest ships. Yes, I have seen your ship designs. Very advanced technology, but built for safety and comfort. Our ships are different. They are built to survive the hell of space itself." Admiral Chen showed them images of human ships. They looked brutal and simple compared to Confederation vessels. Thick armor instead of elegant shields, powerful engines instead of efficient ones, weapons that looked like they could punch through planets. These ships are designed to operate in the worst conditions possible: solar storms, asteroid fields, gravitational anomalies. What Zephyrians consider impossible conditions we call Tuesday. Are you saying you will help us fight them? I am saying we are very interested in meeting these Zephyrians. We do not like bullies who attack peaceful people. Tel Quinn felt tears of relief running down her face. What do you need from us? Information, star charts, technical data about Zephyrian capabilities, and an official invitation to join your fight. You have it. The Galactic Council will be so grateful. Admiral Chen's expression grew serious. Ambassador, there is something else you should know. Earth is not the only death world with intelligent life. We have made contact with other species that live in impossible conditions. If we do this, you will not just get human help. You will get the help of beings that make humans look soft. Tel Quinn could not imagine anything more terrifying than the creatures she had already met. How many species are we talking about? Currently, 4 species in our alliance. Possibly more if we need them. Each one survived conditions that would instantly kill most galactic life. What kind of conditions? Admiral Chen smiled that predator smile again. Gas giant storms, radiation levels that would sterilize normal worlds, vacuum environments, and gravity wells that would flatten your ships. Ambassador, you came looking for help from the dead zones. You found it. The question is, are you ready for what that help looks like? Tel Quinn looked at her terrified crew, then back at the human on the screen. Admiral Chen, our worlds are about to be destroyed. We are ready for anything. Good. Then let's go save your galaxy. The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with excited and terrified voices as Ambassador Tel Quinn finished her report. The holographic images of Earth still floated above the central platform, showing storms that could destroy cities and mountains that spit fire. High Counselor Vex Ani stared at the images with wide eyes. Ambassador, you are telling us that billions of intelligent beings live on that nightmare world? Yes, High Counselor. And they are not just surviving. They are thriving. Their technology may look different from ours, but it works in conditions that would destroy our finest ships. Dr. Zelnara leaned forward in her floating seat. What did they say about helping us? They are very interested in fighting the Zephyrians. But there is more. Telquin activated new images. The humans are not alone. They have contacted other species from Deathworlds. The first image showed crystalline beings that looked like living glass. They moved through what appeared to be the crushing depths of a gas giant's atmosphere. These are the Cathara, Telquin explained. They live inside gas giants where the pressure would instantly crush our ships. The humans say they can phase through normal matter when they need to. The next image showed creatures that glowed with their own light. They lived on worlds where radiation levels were off the charts. The Nethrak evolved on tidally locked planets. One side always faces their sun, creating radiation levels that would kill us in seconds. But to them, radiation is like sunlight to a plant. It makes them stronger. The final image showed something that looked like a swarm of insects, but each insect was the size of a person. They moved through open space without any protection. The Vessen are a hive mind that lives in asteroid fields. They breathe vacuum. Space itself is their natural environment. The chamber fell silent. Admiral Koltar was the first to speak. These beings, they are not like anything in our database. Because we only studied worlds we could live on, Dr. Zelnara said with excitement. We never imagined that life could adapt to such extreme conditions. The Altarian delegate raised one of his forearms. But how do we know they will actually help us? What do they want in return? Telquin smiled for the first time since returning from Earth. They want to stop bullies. The human Admiral Chen said they do not like species that attack peaceful people. They want no payment except the right to trade and communicate with us after the war. That seems too good to be true, muttered a delegate from the Mirren system. There is more, Telquin continued. They are already preparing for war. Admiral Chen showed me their fleets. Ships designed to operate in conditions we considered impossible. Weapons tested in the hearts of stars and the depths of gas giants. High Counselor Vexani stood up. When will they arrive? They are already coming. A human advance fleet should reach our space in 10 cycles. The full Deathworld Alliance will be here in 20 cycles. That gives us 10 cycles before the Zephyrian deadline, Admiral Koltar calculated. Will that be enough time? Admiral Chen seemed very confident. She said the Zephyrians might be used to fighting civilized opponents who fight by rules. Deathworlders do not follow the same rules. 5 cycles later, the first human ships arrived in Confederation space. The Galactic Defense Command watched in amazement as the vessels appeared on their sensors. The human ships looked nothing like Confederation designs. Where Confederation ships were elegant and smooth, human ships looked like flying fortresses. Thick armor plating covered every surface. Massive engines glowed with barely contained power. Weapon arrays bristled from every angle. Admiral Koltar met the human fleet commander, Admiral Marcus Rivera, at the main defense station. The human was even more intimidating in person than Admiral Chen had been on the screen. Admiral Rivera, Koltar said, trying to keep his voice steady. We are grateful for your help, the human nodded. We are here to stop the Zephyrians. Show us their ship designs and tactical information. When Koltar displayed the Zephyrian fleet data, Admiral Rivera studied it with interest rather than fear. Interesting, the human said. They rely heavily on energy shields and long-range weapons. Classic Space Navy tactics. Those energy shields destroyed our best weapons, Koltar explained. Admiral Rivera smiled, that terrifying human smile. Energy shields work well against energy weapons. They work less well against kinetic weapons, and they do not work at all against certain types of exotic matter. I do not understand. You will. When the Cathara arrive, you will see what I mean. 3 days later, the Cathara ships appeared. They did not arrive in normal space. Instead, they seemed to phase into reality like ghosts becoming solid. Their ships looked like giant crystals that caught and bent light in impossible ways. The Cathara ambassador, a being of living crystal that spoke through harmonic vibrations, met with the Confederation leaders. We greet you. Dwellers of gentle worlds, the crystal being sang. We come to help you against those who would destroy peace. Dr. Zelnara asked the question everyone wanted answered. How do you phase through matter? We learn to exist between states of reality in the crushing depths of our world. Solid matter is just another pressure to us. We can become like gas when we need to, or solid like diamond when we must fight. Next came the Nethrak ships, glowing with their own radioactive light. They arrived through a region of space so irradiated, that it should have been deadly to any life form. The Nethrak commander, a being that looked like living starlight, explained their abilities. Radiation is our food and our strength. The more hostile the environment, the more powerful we become. In the heart of battle, we grow stronger. Finally, the Vesan arrived. Their ships were not really ships at all, but collections of their individual bodies working together. Each Vesan could survive in vacuum, and together they formed a living spacecraft. The Vesan spoke as one voice through their hive mind. We are many, but we are one. We live where others die. We fight where others cannot go. Space is our home, and we will defend it. Admiral Koltar stared at the assembled fleet. Humans with their fortress ships. Kithara with their crystal vessels that could phase through matter. Nethrak with their radiation-powered technology. Vesan swarms that treated space like an ocean. How do we coordinate such different forces? He asked Admiral Rivera. We do not coordinate, the human replied. We unleash. The Zephyrians are about to learn what happens when they threaten people under the protection of Deathworlders. Dr. Zelnara watched the alien fleets with scientific fascination. These beings represent evolution under the most extreme conditions possible. They are what life becomes when survival requires absolute adaptation. High Counselor Vexani joined them at the observation deck. I am beginning to understand something important. We built our civilization by avoiding danger and seeking comfort. These beings built their civilizations by conquering danger and turning hardship into strength. Yes, Admiral Rivera agreed. And now the Zephyrians will face the full power of species that know no fear, because they learned to survive the impossible. The Deathworld Alliance was ready. Ships that could operate in any environment. Beings that grew stronger under pressure. Weapons tested in the harshest conditions the universe could provide. The Zephyrians had demanded surrender in 5 more cycles. They would get an answer, but not the one they expected. As the mixed fleet prepared for battle, Ambassador Telquin realized something profound. For the first time since the crisis began, she was not afraid. How could she be afraid with guardians who called hell their home? The galaxy was about to discover what Deathworlders could do when gentle people needed protection. The Zephyrian Empire fleet dropped out of hyperspace exactly on schedule. General Tekvar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Destroyer of Worlds, and smiled with satisfaction. 300 massive warships spread out behind him in perfect formation. Scan the system, he ordered his tactical officer. I want to see how many Confederation ships dare to face us. The tactical officer, a tall Zephyrian with silver skin and cold black eyes, worked at his station. General, I am detecting the Confederation defense fleet as expected. But there are other ships present. Unknown designs, General Tekvar frowned. How many unknown ships? Approximately 400 vessels, sir. They are unusual. The main screen showed the opposing fleet. Tekvar had fought dozens of species across the galaxy. He had destroyed their fleets and stripped their worlds bare. But he had never seen ships like these. Some of the unknown vessels looked like flying fortresses made of metal and hate. Others appeared to be made of crystal that bent light in strange ways. A few glowed with their own inner fire, and strangest of all, some seemed to be swarms of living creatures flying in formation. Analysis, Tekvar demanded. The fortress-like ships show heavy armor and massive kinetic weapons. The crystal ships are difficult to scan. Our sensors cannot get solid readings. The glowing ships appear to be powered by some form of controlled radiation. And the swarm ships? The officer paused. Sir, I think those are individual life forms acting as a single vessel. Tekvar laughed. Primitives with unusual ship designs, no matter. Open communications to the Confederation fleet. The screen flickered, showing the bridge of a Confederation vessel. Tekvar recognized Admiral Koltar from intelligence reports. Admiral, Tekvar said with mock politeness, have you come to surrender? I see you brought friends, but numbers will not save you. Admiral Koltar looked calmer than Tekvar expected. General Tekvar, I have come to deliver a message. The Galactic Confederation rejects your ultimatum. We will not surrender, then you will all die. Your ships are no match for Zephyrian technology. Perhaps. But our friends might have different ideas. The screen split to show additional faces. Tekvar saw beings he did not recognize. A creature that looked like a primitive predator with forward-facing eyes. A being made of living crystal. Something that glowed with inner light. And a swarm intelligence that spoke with one voice. The predator creature spoke first. General Thekvar, I am Admiral Sarah Chen of the Human Defense Force. Your war with the Confederation is now a war with the Deathworld Alliance. Deathworld Alliance? Thekvar had never heard the term. The crystal being sang in harmonics that translated as words. We are the children of impossible worlds. We come to protect those who choose peace. The glowing being spoke with a voice like controlled fire. We have faced the rage of dying stars and survived. Your weapons do not frighten us. The swarm intelligence buzzed as one. We are many. We are one. We are the children of vacuum and void. Space is our weapon. Thekvar cut the transmission and turned to his fleet commander. Destroy them all. Start with the fortress ships. They look the most dangerous. The Zephyrian fleet opened fire with weapons that had shattered 100 worlds. Energy beams that could melt continents lanced out toward the human ships. The human vessels did not dodge. Instead, they charged straight into the weapons fire. Impossible, whispered the tactical officer. Their ships should be scrap metal. But the human ships kept coming. Their thick armor absorbed hits that would have destroyed Confederation vessels. Molten metal ran down their hulls like rain, but the ships did not stop. Return fire, Thekvar shouted. The human response was unlike anything the Zephyrians had seen. Instead of energy weapons, the humans fired massive chunks of metal at incredible speeds. The kinetic rounds punched through Zephyrian shields like they were made of paper. How are they penetrating our shields? Thekvar demanded. The projectiles are moving too fast for our shield generators to deflect, his science officer reported. And they appear to be made of some kind of super-dense material. Then target the crystal ships. The Zephyrians turned their weapons on the Kythera vessels. The energy beams hit the crystal ships and passed right through them as if they were not there. What is happening? The crystal ships are phasing in and out of normal space, the science officer said, his voice rising with panic. They exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Our weapons cannot lock onto them. As they watched, the Kythera ships phased back into solid reality. Their crystal hulls focused the energy of their gas giant homeworld into devastating beam weapons that cut through Zephyrian armor like a knife through soft meat. Target the glowing ships, Thekvar ordered, desperation creeping into his voice. The Nethrak ships received the full fury of the Zephyrian fleet. Radiation levels around them spiked to levels that would kill most life forms instantly. But instead of being destroyed, the Nethrak ships began to glow brighter. Sir, the science officer said with growing horror, they are absorbing our weapons fire. The radiation is making them stronger. The Nethrak returned fire with weapons powered by the very attacks meant to destroy them. Radiation beams that could sterilize planets tore through the Zephyrian formation. The swarm ships, surely we can destroy individual creatures. The Vessen were ready for this attack. As Zephyrian weapons targeted individual members of their swarms, the creatures simply dispersed into smaller groups. What had been one large target became thousands of tiny ones. The individual Vessen then reformed into boarding parties that attached themselves to Zephyrian ships. They began cutting through the hulls with tools designed to work in the vacuum of space. General, called the damage control officer. They are boarding us. They are inside the ship. Alarms sounded throughout the Zephyrian fleet. These were not normal boarding actions. The Vessen moved through vacuum-filled corridors as easily as walking through air. They disabled ship systems with the precision of beings who had spent their entire evolution learning to repair and modify technology in the harshest environments. But the worst was yet to come. Human boarding parties began attacking the larger Zephyrian vessels. These creatures from the death world moved through environments that would kill normal beings in seconds. When the Zephyrians flooded sections with radiation to kill the boarders, they found humans in suits designed to work in the radioactive depths of their home planet. When they pumped out the atmosphere, they discovered humans who had trained in the vacuum of space. When they filled sections with poison gas, they met humans whose homeworld had taught them to survive atmospheric conditions that would dissolve most life forms. General, Admiral Rivera's voice came over the communication system. This is your first and only chance to surrender. Thekvar looked around his bridge. Half his fleet was destroyed or disabled. The other half was being torn apart by weapons and tactics beyond his understanding. How? He whispered. How are you doing this? Simple, Admiral Chen replied. You learn to fight by conquering weak opponents. We learn to fight by surviving on worlds that tried to kill us every day. There is a difference. The Kythera commander sang her deadly harmony. You know only easy victories. We know only hard survival. The Nethrak spoke with their voice of living radiation. You fear death. We were born in the heart of dying stars. The Vessin buzzed as one. You fight from inside safe ships. We are already home in the void between worlds. Tekvar realized the truth with growing horror. His empire had grown strong by attacking civilizations that valued peace over war. They had never faced beings that were forged in constant struggle, shaped by impossible conditions and tempered by daily survival against odds that would kill any normal species. Withdraw, he ordered. All ships retreat to hyperspace. But retreat was not as simple as he hoped. The Deathworld Alliance had planned for this moment. Human ships, built to operate in the gravity wells of gas giants, pursued the fleeing Zephyrians even as they tried to jump to hyperspace. Kithra vessels phased through space itself to cut off escape routes. Nethrak ships, powered by the radiation of stellar phenomena, followed the Zephyrians through hyperspace jumps that would have killed normal crews. And the Vessin, comfortable in any environment, spread out to track every fleeing ship. The mighty Zephyrian Empire, conqueror of worlds, ran from the children of Hell. Behind them, the Deathworld Alliance regrouped around the grateful Confederation fleet. The galaxy had learned a new truth. Sometimes the strongest warriors come from the places where survival itself is victory. 3 months after the battle, the Galactic Confederation Council chamber looked very different. New seats had been added for the representatives of the Deathworld Alliance. The chamber itself had been modified to accommodate beings with very different environmental needs. Admiral Sarah Chen sat in a specially designed section where Earth-normal atmosphere mixed with the more delicate air, preferred by most Confederation species. Beside her, the Kithera ambassador existed as a beautiful crystal formation that sang its words in harmonic frequencies. The Nethrak delegate glowed softly behind radiation shielding, while the Vessin representative was actually 12 individuals acting as one voice. High Counselor Vexani stood to address the assembled delegates. Her blue skin had regained its normal color and she no longer trembled with fear. Friends, we gather today to discuss the future of our galaxy. The Zephyrian threat has been ended, but we must decide what comes next. The news of the Zephyrian defeat had spread across the galaxy faster than hyperspace communications. The mighty empire that had terrorized dozens of systems had been crushed in a single battle. More shocking still, the victors had pursued the fleeing Zephyrians all the way back to their home systems. Admiral Chen had led the pursuit personally. The Deathworld Alliance did not simply defeat the Zephyrian fleet. They dismantled the entire military structure of the Empire with surgical precision. Admiral Chen, Vexani continued, please give us your report on the Zephyrian campaign. The human stood with that calm confidence that had once terrified the Confederation delegates. Now they found it reassuring. The Zephyrian Empire no longer exists as a military threat, Chen reported. We have disabled their weapons manufacturing, dismantled their fleet bases, and removed their leadership from power. However, we have not harmed their civilian population. Dr. Zelnara leaned forward with interest. What did you do with their leaders? They have been relocated to a nice garden world where they can live peacefully under supervision. Think of it as retirement. Their military commanders are learning new jobs that do not involve conquering peaceful species. The Altarian delegate raised one of his forearms. What about their technology? The Kithera ambassador sang a crystalline melody that translated as laughter. Their technology was designed for intimidation, not innovation. We have introduced them to more efficient methods that do not require strip mining entire worlds. The Vessin representative buzzed as one voice. We have planted seedling colonies of our people throughout former Zephyrian space. We will ensure peace is maintained. Admiral Koltar, who had become close friends with Admiral Chen during the campaign, asked the question everyone was thinking. What do you want from us? You have given us everything and asked for nothing. Admiral Chen exchanged glances with her alien allies before answering. We want something that might sound strange to you. We want to be partners, not rulers. I do not understand. The Nethrak delegate spoke with their voice of controlled stellar fire. We are good at surviving impossible conditions and fighting terrible enemies. You are good at building peaceful societies and advancing science. Together we can create something better than either of us could achieve alone. Dr. Zelnara's eyes lit up with excitement. A partnership between survival specialists and knowledge specialists. Exactly, Admiral Chen said. You have 300 worlds of peaceful, intelligent species. We have dozens of worlds where life learned to conquer the impossible. Your people can teach us about art, philosophy, advanced science, and diplomacy. Our people can teach you about endurance, adaptation, and how to face the unknown. High Counselor Vexiani stood thoughtfully. What would this partnership look like? The Kythera ambassador created a holographic display with their crystalline abilities. Imagine exploration ships crewed by both types of species. Your people would handle the science and diplomacy. Our people would handle the dangerous environments and unexpected threats. Imagine research stations that could operate in any environment, the Vessin added. Gas giant depth, stellar coronas, radiation fields, gravity anomalies. Places where knowledge waits but normal expeditions cannot survive. Imagine colonies that could thrive anywhere, the Nethrak continued. No world would be too harsh, no environment too hostile. The galaxy would truly be open to all life. Admiral Chen concluded the presentation. Most importantly, imagine a galaxy where peaceful species never again have to fear aggressive empires, where Deathworlders stand guard so that Garden-Worlders can focus on building something beautiful. The debate that followed lasted for hours. Some delegates worried about becoming dependent on the Deathworld species. Others feared that the Alliance might eventually become conquerors themselves. Ambassador Telquin, who had first made contact with humanity, stood to speak. I have spent months working with these beings. I have seen their ships, their worlds, their cultures. They are not conquerors. They are guardians. They fight not because they love war, but because they love the things that war protects. Dr. Zelnara supported her. From a scientific perspective, this alliance represents the next step in galactic evolution. We have reached the limits of what peaceful expansion can achieve. To go further, to truly explore the universe, we need partners who can survive where we cannot. Admiral Koltar added his military perspective. These beings proved they could have conquered us easily. Instead, they chose to protect us. That tells me everything I need to know about their character. The vote was unanimous. The Galactic Confederation would become the Galactic Partnership, with the Deathworld Alliance as equal members. 6 months later, the first mixed crews launched on exploration missions to previously impossible destinations. Human engineers worked alongside Confederation scientists to design ships that could operate in any environment. Kythera navigators guided vessels through dimensional anomalies, while Altarian physicists studied the phenomena. Nethrak security teams protected research expeditions in radiation fields, while Velnari diplomats made first contact with energy beings. The Vessin, with their natural ability to live in space, became the galaxy's premier rescue service. No ship lost in the void was beyond their reach. Admiral Chen stood on the observation deck of the new Joint Command Station, watching mixed fleets depart for the galactic rim. Beside her, High Counselor Vexani marveled at how much had changed. A year ago, we were a collection of peaceful worlds hiding from the dangers of the galaxy, Vexani said. Now we are partners with the children of those very dangers. It makes sense when you think about it, Chen replied. You needed protection. We needed purpose. You taught us that there are things worth protecting. We taught you that protection is possible. What do you think the future holds? Admiral Chen smiled as she watched a human-designed ship powered by Nethrak, technology and navigated by Kythera crystals, disappear into hyperspace on a mission to explore the galactic core. I think the universe is about to discover that there is no limit to what life can achieve when the dreamers and the survivors work together. Far across the galaxy, on worlds both gentle and harsh, children of a dozen species grew up hearing stories about the day the Deathworlders came to save the Garden Worlds. They learned that strength comes in many forms, that diversity creates resilience, and that sometimes the most important thing you can do is stand between the innocent and those who would harm them. The galaxy had learned that hell worlds create guardians, and guardians create the safety necessary for paradise to flourish. In the end, the aliens had truly had no idea who would arrive when they called for help, but they discovered that sometimes salvation comes from the most unexpected places, wearing the most unexpected faces, and carrying the strength born from surviving the impossible. The age of the Galactic Partnership had begun, protected by those who called hell home.